Well, hello everyone, and welcome to this presentation in this Freelance Business Week. I'm Kevin Bakewell and pleased to be your moderator and your host for this session. I'd like to introduce a good friend of mine, actually, and we serve on a local nonprofit board together. Kelly Chicos is Director of Learning and Development with the Superior Group of Companies. And she's going to talk to us today about perseverance, which I think is something that we can all need to hear about more, especially during these challenging times. And I know we're all used to hearing that phrase these days. Kelly has 20 plus years of experience delivering professional development seminars. She's a certified coach, a certified professional in talent development, and has a master's degree in adult education and human resource development. So Kelly, I'm going to turn it over to you now, and we're so delighted that you are joining us today. And if the presentations and training you've done for our nonprofit board are any indication, folks are in for a real treat. So I'll turn it over to you, Kelly.
Oh, thank you so much, Kevin. And hello, everyone. Hello to all of our freelancers, our contractors and consultants and business owners and entrepreneurs and solopreneurs. This is just a fantastic group that we've gathered here today. I'm so glad that you're here to celebrate Freelance Business Week. And I'm glad you joined this session. I hope that you can gain some knowledge as well as share some knowledge about your own perseverance. As Kevin said, my name's Kelly Chicos, and I'll be delighted to lead this session today. And as you are thinking about perseverance, I mean, if there were ever a time when this quality was so desperately needed and so deeply rooted, it is now, right? It is 2020. So that's what we're going to talk about today. We are going to cover what is perseverance. We're going to talk about a few people who have demonstrated extraordinary perseverance to try to give us some inspiration. And then we are going to also cover several tips for us to build our own perseverance. And yes, it is a skill that you can practice, that you can hone, that you can develop over time just through practice. So if you weren't born with a whole lot of perseverance, that's okay. We're going to share several tips today that will help you build that perseverance. So I'm going to share my screen here so that you can follow along with some slides. And hopefully it looks good from your end there. And before we go any further, I would like to introduce you to my family of furry and feathered rescue pals. This is Nikki, Hope, Jackson, Jenny, Jim, and Billy. The reason I thought I would introduce them to you is because we know as freelancers and as working in the remote world that every now and then they might be able to chime in during this session somewhat inappropriately. So I thought if you saw how cute that they were, that perhaps you'd be a little more forgiving if they do happen to make a little ruckus in the background. Okay, so what is the definition of perseverance? Perseverance, simply stated, is doing something despite difficulty or delay in achieving success. So to keep going when you fall, to strive forward when barriers try to block your view, when it takes more time, money, energy, resources than you had anticipated, and yet you keep moving forward. That is perseverance. So let's go ahead and take a moment right now for you to reflect on a situation in which you demonstrated great perseverance. Think about a time when things got tough, got challenging, difficult, maybe when they even seemed a little bit hopeless. But you dug deep, you thought about why you were doing it, and you were motivated to keep moving. And feel free to share any of those experiences or thoughts in chat. We'd love to hear from you and hear about the experiences that you've had. And while you're thinking of that, I would like to share a personal story with you. Now, this is a picture of me and my 6th grade basketball team. This, and you can even see my name is ironed on the shorts. That was so cool, circa 1980. So you might be wondering, wow, did this 10-year-old girl whose maximum height reached about 5'2", barely, did she go on to play in the WNBA? No, nope, I'm sorry. I quit after I missed a couple baskets during a game. And I will spare you the pictures, but I also quit gymnastics when I was worried that the spotters wouldn't be able to lift me to the parallel bars. I also quit tennis when I ran up to the net and I tripped and fell and skinned my knee in front of everyone. It goes on. I quit choir when I tried out for a musical and my voice cracked during the audition. And I even quit bowling when I bowled a three, not in one frame, but an entire game. So it is true that when I was growing up, perseverance was not in my vocabulary. Anytime things got tough, I just threw in the towel. I gave up. And I'm not proud to share that with you because I have spent a lot of time in my adult life wondering what could have been if when I were growing up, I had practiced perseverance rather than so easily throwing in the towel at the first sign of trouble. Thankfully, as an adult, like most of us here today, there have been many opportunities to test the skill of perseverance and to understand that perseverance is largely a choice of our mindset. If we have made up our mind and we have decided with our heart and soul to keep moving despite obstacles, when you know how badly you want something. So why is it important to talk about perseverance? Well, because setbacks are a part of life, right? We fall, we fail, we get hurt, we get disappointed sometimes, we get delayed. There are ups and downs. And giving up might not have had too many really detrimental consequences when I was a 10-year-old girl. But as an adult, quitting every time something gets a little tough and won't result in living a very successful and fulfilling life. We want to be able to bounce back like Tigger and push through, maybe not like a bulldozer, but pretty close, to get through some of our toughest situations. And boy, oh boy, have we all faced so many tough situations this year, but it's not just unique to this year. So if we want to push through, if we want to bounce back and achieve our goals, then why is it so difficult sometimes to demonstrate that perseverance? Well, one factor, and it's a major factor, but it's not the only reason, is Thorndike's law of effect. So we're going to get all college-y on us for a moment, but Thorndike made an assumption that all animals, including humans, we are hardwired to seek pleasure and avoid pain. So remember the definition of perseverance. It means persistence in doing something despite difficulty or delay in achieving success. So difficulty and delay is painful, right? And we are hardwired to avoid that. Hence my 10-year-old self quitting everything when it got painful. I didn't understand then that you don't have to fall for Thorndike's law of effect. You can, despite our natural tendencies, you can absolutely push through that pain and recognize that the result on the other side is going to be well worth it. So as I mentioned, this is an explanation why perseverance can be challenging and difficult at times, but it is not an excuse. We do not have to fall victim to Thorndike's law of effect. After all, I think that Randy Pausch said it so beautifully. Of course, he's the author of The Last Lecture, which was published in 2008, and this is one of my all-time favorite quotes. Randy Pausch, who was facing terminal pancreatic cancer, said, "The brick walls are there for a reason. The brick walls are not there to keep us out. The brick walls are there to give us a chance to show how badly we want something. The brick walls are there to stop the people who don't want it badly enough. they're there to stop the other people. So that is such an inspirational quote to me. It's about recognizing that those brick walls give you a chance to demonstrate your perseverance. So for a little more inspiration, let's look at a couple other famous people who have a boatload of perseverance. First up is Mr. Thomas Edison. Of course, he's described as America's greatest inventor. He developed many devices, including the phonograph, the motion picture camera, and most of us know him as creating the electric light bulb. But it was not a fast and easy process for Mr. Edison. In fact, it took him almost 1,000 tries to get it right. And when a reporter asked Mr. Edison, how did it feel to fail 1,000 times? Edison replied, I didn't fail 1,000 times. The light bulb was an invention with 1,000 steps. How great is that? What an incredible perspective. What a great mindset towards perseverance that Mr. Edison demonstrated. He didn't think of it as failure. He looked at those setbacks, those disappointments, as one step closer to his goal. Well, how about the incredible Michael Jordan? Most of us probably know by now that he was cut from his high school varsity basketball team. And right now I'm currently in Wilmington, North Carolina, which is just up the street from Michael Jordan's high school. So this feels very appropriate right now. I drive past his high school every day. And so when Michael Jordan was cut from his high school basketball team, did that convince him that he should try another sport? Maybe curling would be something that he be better suited for? No, of course not. We know that he became one of the greatest NBA basketball stars of all time. But was it easy and smooth sailing for him? No. Perseverance was tapped into nearly every time he hit the court. Let's look at some of his failing statistics. Michael Jordan lost almost 300 games, and that's more than many NBA players have court time in. He missed over 9,000 shots at goal. Again, more shots than the average NBA player even gets a chance to take. And 26 times, Michael Jordan was given the ball to take the game-winning shot, and he missed. He still persevered. And what about James Dyson? I think I have personally made a couple car payments for him because I have so many Dyson products. I love them, between the vacuum cleaners and hair dryer and fans. Absolutely amazing. Mr. James Dyson said that he made 5,127 prototypes, but who's counting, of his vacuum cleaner before he got it right. 5,000 before he got it right. And he said as often as failure was a part of that story, it was necessary in discovering the technology required. Wow. Great stories of people with immense perseverance. And I don't think we need to try something 5,000 times. Most of us would be happy if we had enough perseverance just to get up a couple times when we fall. So let's talk about how we're going to do that. But first of all, quick recap. At this point, we've talked about what a definition of perseverance is. We know that tapping into perseverance is actually against what we're hardwired for because of good old Thorndike's law of effect. And we've got a few inspirational stories to give us that momentum to tap into some perseverance. So how about we spend the rest of our time here discussing tips that we can use to not only get us through the rest of 2020, but help us achieve our goals and push through when we've got setbacks. Let me first, though, take a moment to see if we have any comments in chat. Kevin or Paula, feel free to jump in if you see anything. My perspective now is just of the screen, so I can't see chat from my view. Okay, well, we'll give you a couple other chances to share some of your experience or to ask questions, to provide some input during the rest of the session. First up, as a tip that you can take to tap into your personal level of perseverance, is a positive attitude. Oh no, you're not going to tell us just to smile and be happy, are you? No, it is much more than that. A positive attitude is not superficial, but rather it is a driving force. It is the desire to move forward, to persevere when others are retreating in the face of change and adversity. So attitude and having a positive attitude is more than just a sunny outlook on life. It is a true belief that good things will happen in spite of bad things. And I want to remind us that our attitude is our choice. Attitude is always our choice. We can't always choose what happens to us in this world, what gets thrown our way, the obstacles and barriers and disappointments, but we can always choose how we respond to this world. So choosing a positive attitude and a personal level of perseverance will go along with it. And next up is making a conclusive choice. So when you're standing at that crossroad and you're wondering what you should do, after you give it some thought, make up your mind. Because success rarely comes from being passive, or what my dad used to call hem-hawing. Don't hem-haw around. You must choose a course and stick to it, even if it looks like it might not happen. This is what it takes to create those goals and to move forward. And when you have made up your mind and you know that there's going to be obstacles coming your way, it will help you to push through. But you want to make sure that those choices that you make are also guided by an ethical compass. So you not only know what you want, but you know how you will go about getting it. You know what you want and you know what you are willing to do and what you are not willing to do in order to achieve that goal. So think about Bernie Madoff and Ponzi schemes, or recently Lori Loughlin and Felicity Huffman with those college admission scandals. So you can reach your goal through ways that are hurtful to others or break the law or otherwise deceptive. We don't want that. We've got our ethical compass. We've got our values and our morals that we hold true to our hearts that become our North Star when we're going through the journey of reaching our goals. So if I wanted to make $20,000 this month, I could go out and rob a bank. But of course, I'm not going to do that because my ethical compass wouldn't allow me to reach the goal through those means. And so think about what are the values that you hold close to you? What values are imperative to you along this journey? And always keep those as your North Star. So once you have made your decision and you're holding on to that ethical compass, if you want to persevere, then you've got to stick to it with uncompromising resolve. That headstrong determination, persistence, the eye on the prize. So look at the elephant in this picture. That elephant wanted something in that tree branch. And by golly, he or she was going to figure out a way to get it. They had that uncompromising resolve. Nothing was going to get in their way. That's one of the crucial elements to perseverance. Sometimes, though, and I think we can all relate to this, a little bit of help from others is necessary when that resolve is tested. That's when our social network, our support network, is so important and so crucial. If you want to learn how to persevere, you need your own personal board of directors. And that might be family, friends, peers, colleagues, coworkers, anyone that will allow you a comfortable, safe, supportive space for you to open up, for you to share your challenges, for you to vent, for you to talk about disappointments, or just talk about your plans and your vision. And that support network is going to be there to hold you up when you feel like falling down. So who is the president of your board of directors? I think I can say, if you're thinking about writing it in chat, and hopefully a few of you are sharing that, who is your biggest cheerleader? When I was reflecting upon this question, I thought about a couple people, but I think my biggest cheerleader is my husband, who, if I'm having a big day ahead, he always sends me a text that says, good luck today. And then when the day is over, is the first one to ask me, how was it? How'd it go? How'd you do? And it really helps me through not only tough days, but great days. So do we have any feedback of who might be on your personal board of directors? Who's your president? All right, well, hopefully as you're either attending this live or you're listening to it later, you'll take a few moments to put that board of directors in writing. You'll think about it, you'll reach out to them, you'll have the conversation to say, I really want you, if you don't mind, and here's why, be a part of my team. I need that support. I think anyone would be honored to do such a thing. And we saw earlier an important tip in perseverance and building perseverance and practicing perseverance is not being afraid to fail. Failing means you're on the right path oftentimes, right? We saw James Dyson failed more than 5,000 times, Edison 1,000, Michael Jordan missed 9,000 shots. It's part of the journey. So don't be afraid to fail. Perseverance comes from failing, and I use quotation marks for that because it's not really a bad thing, right? Perseverance comes from failing and then getting back up. And without failing, you can't become resilient, which is a sister skill to perseverance. And so if you have a bad taste in your mouth about the word failing, I want you to change your relationship to that word. I want you to think of failing as a lesson and not a setback, because you can learn so much from failure that changing your attitude toward it can have amazing implications on your life. Another tip for growing your own personal perseverance is do one thing, just one, every single day to grow, to learn, to improve. So you're attending this conference today, so you've already done it for today. Great job. And if you are attending all week long, even better. Check this one off for the next 5 days. Now, a suggestion is to do this one thing first thing in the morning to ensure that the entire day doesn't get away from you, right? Because you might have great intentions on, I'm going to, have my growing and learning moments a little bit later, but then what happens? We get distracted. We've got so many things going on. So try first thing in the morning to do something that helps you grow. Maybe it's reading an article. Maybe it's watching a YouTube video on a topic that's of interest to you. Maybe it's downloading an app to practice a new language. Now, this takes 15 minutes, 30 minutes tops. So can you trade in 15 minutes from surfing social media and replace it with listening to a podcast? Perhaps you can set that alarm for 20 minutes earlier in the day so you can practice yoga. Or turn off that TV for the length of a sitcom and read a book. This will make you stronger mentally and sometimes physically in some cases, and therefore it will build your perseverance. And building that perseverance means that sometimes you'll have to take some risks. By taking risks, we're actually increasing the probability that we'll face more difficult situations, but that's okay. When you face those difficult situations, if you can learn to adapt and understand what next steps are necessary to keep moving you in the right direction, then you are growing and strengthening your perseverance. So don't be afraid to step out of that comfort zone a little bit, take a risk. And with each small risk, if you feel rewarded and you feel like it was worthwhile, then you'll take bigger risks along the way. But if we are going to build our own perseverance, we need to understand resistance. What is the friction that holds us back? So what is it that tries to hold you back from achieving your goals? When I quit tennis just because I tripped and fell, what was it that made me throw in the towel so easily? So here are a few things to consider when you're thinking about what is it that tries to hold you back. Is it self-doubt? Lack of confidence or lack of self-esteem that makes you question your goals, question your ability? Or is it worrying about what others will think about you? You're worried if others will approve of it. That's often something that holds us back. Or maybe it's procrastination. In the introductory session, Michaela, who, by the way, Michaela, if you're listening, thank you so much for your service to this country. Michaela mentioned that she was a recovering procrastinator, and she has a lot of great resources on overcoming procrastination, because procrastination can be a form of resistance. So is that an issue for you? What about fear of failure, fear of looking silly? I always wanted to open up my own business, but what if other people laugh at me? What if they think it's ridiculous? That's something for us to examine in ourselves. And I know I've been there. I had a small business myself, and I still do some consulting on, and I know those feelings. I know what it's like to worry about failing, worrying what other people will think, worrying that someone would come into my small brick and mortar and not like the products and services. But I wanted more than that. I wanted to achieve that goal. So maybe you don't know what the goal is, and that's part of the resistance. That's what's holding you back. Maybe you haven't defined that goal, or that comfort zone that we talked about just a moment ago. Sometimes that holds us back. And finally, when you're thinking about what it is that tries to hold you back, maybe it's perfectionism. Maybe you want to do something exactly right before you do it at all. I don't know. What is it for you? If you can and don't mind, take a moment and type in chat what it is that you think holds you back or tries to hold you back. Let me share that I think my primary resistance is self-doubt. I think when I reflect back as that 10-year-old girl, I think I quit so much because of self-doubt, lack of self-esteem, fear of looking silly. I don't let that bother me as much anymore because I've recognized situations where if you can push past that resistance and get through it, the rewards on the other end are so much more valuable, more worth it. than it is to allow that resistance take hold of your life. And when you can name the resistance, it loses its power over you and therefore gives you more room for perseverance. All right, a couple more tips here on how to demonstrate perseverance and strengthen that perseverance. Apply the 40% rule. Did you know that if you complete 40% of a task, that the likelihood of quitting drops dramatically? And that makes sense, right? I mean, you're almost there. I mean, you're almost halfway there anyways. So Kevin said in the opening session about when we were talking about diversity and inclusion, however, when he was said that he was mentioning, or someone had asked him about, how do you start writing? And he was like, just begin, just start. And I think that's the same thing with any of our goals or aspirations, or even just, getting started of the day. Just do it, right? Nike had it right when they said that. And I think we can see this, especially an easy example is exercise, which is why we chose this background for this slide here. Exercising. The hardest part of exercise is what? Just getting out the door, right? Driving to the gym or putting those sneakers on to go out for a run. But once you're at the gym, or once you're down the road with your jog or your walk, you're likely not going to just go, never mind, forget this. No, you've already pushed through that. So keep that in mind. It is that resistance that you feel at first that is the hardest to push through. But once you've gone through that, it's almost smooth sailing. In fact, when you think about a rocket launch, I'm kind of a NASA and a SpaceX geek, and it takes more energy to lift that rocket off the ground than it does in the entire orbit of Earth or wherever it may be going. It takes more energy in just those first few seconds than it does in the days and weeks and months that they might be out in space. Similar to what we kind of experience. How else can we build our perseverance? How about keeping those goals in mind? No, I don't want you to keep the goals in mind. I want you to keep your goals in sight. Write them down. When we make mistakes or we fail, many people might be tempted to give up altogether. But if you want to persevere, keep your goals in sight at all times. Start by writing down your short and long-term goals and put those somewhere where they're easy to access. And a simple Post-it note on your laptop works great. So create that vision board, put it in a place where you're going to see it on a regular basis. Spend a few minutes each week studying that vision board, studying those written goals to provide you with some inspiration to move forward. Because when you hit those bumps, and we know we will, having those visuals of your goals will help. And don't forget, in addition to those long-term goals, to set smaller benchmarks. What are some clear benchmarks along the way that you can celebrate your success? It's kind of the Weight Watchers phenomenon, right? You don't have to lose 20 pounds. You just need to lose 5 before your support network celebrates you, or you get pins, or you get a sticker or something like that. You can do the same for yourself. Set a benchmark, and then maybe it's treating yourself to a lunch or something that you've always wanted to buy, a weekend vacation, whatever it might be. Those benchmarks are reminders of our own progress towards goals. And it provides a little nice motivation to keep us moving, doesn't it? And another one that will help us push through is remembering the why. Why did you get into this business? Why did you set that goal? What is it that you wanted to achieve? Why did you choose that profession? What is your why? Again, I want to ask you in chat to see if you could share your why, that driving force that made you set out on that path to begin with, and create that uncompromising resolve with that conclusive choice and those previous tips that we've talked about. And while you're sharing that in chat, let me share, if you don't mind, another quick personal story. You might have gathered from the second slide here when I showed you my family of furry and feathered rescued pets that I am a big animal rescue advocate. And I spend a lot of my time and other resources committed to animal rescue groups. Now, why do I do this? Because believe me, it can be very hard and depressing and sad work. And it also can be very rewarding too. So I have to remember my why. Why do I spend so much time doing that? Because I want to see the day when we don't need animal shelters anymore, where every adoptable animal has a loving home. Keeping that why in my mind will help me push through those tougher moments and tough days. So although I can't see your chat now, I'm really looking forward to reviewing it later and hearing from you of what is your why? What is that driving force behind you? And finally, sometimes we have to acknowledge that it makes the most sense to quit. It does. Hopefully not after you bowl a 3 in your bowling game, not something that's small or minuscule, but there are times when it makes sense to abandon ship, that you persist until you recognize that the best option is to step out. Now, the point here is to recognize when stopping is rational and reasonable. You stop because it makes sense, not because it's the easy and convenient thing to do. And when should we choose to abandon ship? To stop? Well, a good indicator is when a goal becomes more of a liability than an asset. And when those resources that you have been putting towards that goal make sense to be allocated somewhere else. It's a difficult decision to abandon ship, but it also could make sense in some cases. Because sometimes that persistence and that perseverance could stretch beyond and become stubbornness. So we don't want that. We want to be strong. We want to push through, and we want to use the tips that we've covered today to overcome tough times. But we also want to make good sense about it, make rational decisions regarding that. So that wraps up about, a baker's dozen amount of tips for us to take away today and help us become stronger, more resilient, push through those tough times in the future. And so in the couple minutes that we have left here, I would love to take us back to an oldie but goodie video from Kid President. And so maybe you have seen this. I think it was published first in 2004 or something like that. It's several years old now. It's been viewed about 50 million times, but it is truly a great way for us to get a pep talk as we're embracing the Freelance Business Week, and we have a great day in store and an incredible week in store. So let me shift out of our PowerPoint here. And we're going to take a listen to Mr. Kid President.
We all need pep talk. The world needs you to stop being boring. Yeah, boring is easy. Everybody can be boring, but you're gooder than that. Life is not a game, people. Life isn't a cereal either. Well, it is a cereal. And if life is a game, are we on the same team? I mean, really, right? I'm on your team, you're on my team. This is life, people. You got air coming through your nose. You got heartbeat. That means it's time to do something. A poem. 2 roads diverged in the woods, and I took the road less traveled. It hurt, man! Really bad. Rocks, thorns, and glass. The parts broke. Not cool, Robert Frost. But what if there really were two paths? I want to be the one that leads to awesome. It's like that dude Journey said, don't stop believing, unless your dream's stupid. Then you should get a better dream. I think that's how it goes. Get a better dream and keep going. Keep going, and keep going. Will Michael Jordan have quit? No, he did quit. No, he retired. Yeah, that's right. He retired. But before that, in high school, what if he quit when he didn't make the team? He would have never made Space Jam. And I love Space Jam. What will be your Space Jam? What will you create will make the world awesome? Nothing if you keep sitting there. That's why I'm talking to you today. This is your time. This is my time. It's our time. We can make every day better for each other. If we're all on the same team, let's start acting like it. We got work to do. We can cry about it or we can dance about it. We were made to be awesome. Let's get out there. I don't know everything. I'm just a kid. But I do know this. So everybody's good to give the world a reason to dance. So get to it. You've just been pep talked. Create something that will make the world awesome. Play ball.
Create something that will make the world awesome. I love it. So thank you so much, everyone. I hope you enjoy the rest of the conference. Happy Freelance Business Week. Thank you, Kevin, and thank you to all of our hosts. It's been a pleasure being here today. Thank you.
Hey, Kelly, hang in there for a minute. I just want to share some of the comments because I don't think you saw them while you were presenting. First of all, great video. We got to sign that kid up for the next Freelance Business Week. He is amazing. So really love what you said about attitude being everything. You said it a little bit differently, but attitude is everything. And you can, as you said, you got to have the right attitude. Only you can control your attitude. And I like to think of the opposite. You can't control everybody else's attitude. So don't worry about them. Don't try to change them. Try to change yourself or put yourself in their shoes. So, but anyway, some great quotes. I mean, lots of positive quotes about the session overall. Livio shared a quote from Calvin Coolidge: persistence and determination alone are omnipotent. So he shared that with us. Who's your biggest cheerleader? We had folks say my fiance, my cat, my boyfriend. A former colleague with whom I partner on some project is my biggest cheerleader. My husband is my ultimate cheerleader. I'll say that's the case for me, my wife, because going from the corporate world after 45 years to doing your own thing, being your own boss, she's a lot more organized than I am, and she's been a great help to me. And usually when she tells me something or suggests something, I, of course, don't want to hear it initially, and then I have to go back and say, you know what, you were right. So husbands and wives, let's see. Okay, so you were asking about what do you do each day to help you grow? Lots of faith-based answers. My devotional, pray each day. What's holding you back from achieving your goals? Fear of success is one of those things that somebody mentioned. Focusing on other people's goals, like my children. Fear that I can't do it. What's your why? Lisa says, I would like to control my own life. Shelly Ann says, my why is providing the best life for my family, being a blessing to others, financial independence, living my BHAG, big, hairy, audacious goal, for those of you who don't know what that is, of being able to work from anywhere in the world. Diane Faulkner says, I get up and push through so I can provide for my family. Helene says, a tip that works for me to get through uninspiring moments is to indulge in the goal. For example, I want to write a book and I can't start writing. I read other books to feel the inspiration again. And Helene, another one, she says, my why is why not? I love that one. And Cheryl just says, thank you, Kelly, inspiring. Excellent presentation. So any thoughts on those? I know I zipped through them quick, but such great comments. I'm sorry you couldn't see them while you're presenting.
I'm sorry too, but a great way to wrap up, Kevin, because I think that what the participants had shared in the chat areas is truly inspiring. Why not? I love that. My why is why not?
Well, thank you. And again, great presentation. I want to remind everybody that Kelly does actually have a little giveaway as a part of participating today. And you should have seen that when you registered and logged in. And her giveaway is a Legend 2021 planner, your choice of color. And the way the giveaways work is that if you signed up for this session, the platform will automatically select a winner at random. So the human element is taken out of that. And then an email will be generated that will go to you as the winner and also go to Kelly. So then she can touch base with you and determine what color you need. So Kelly, thanks so much for providing that little nice freebie today and get us thinking about 2021 already.
Absolutely. And again, thank you for having me, and thank you all for being here. And I'm looking forward to giving away that planner, because let's hope, we're persevering through 2020. So 2021's got to be awesome.
Thanks again, Kelly. Again, thanks everyone for joining, and we hope you just continue to join us for sessions throughout the week. Again, I'm Kevin Bakewell, Principal of Bakewell Public Relations. I'm based here in Clearwater, Florida, and along with my partner in crime, Paula McDonald, with Image Suite PR and Marketing, we are pleased to be your host for the Tampa edition of Freelance Business Week. Thank you all very much.